And hello, and welcome to Magical Journey. I am your host, Daniel Cahoon, and I've got a really good show for you tonight, but I want to do some house cleaning first. Housekeeping, not cleaning. I never clean my house. So, first of all, obviously, you can catch me on Magical Journey on YouTube every Friday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This week, in particular, on Tuesday, I have a recorded show coming out that I want you guys to definitely catch. It is going to be phenomenal. I have Brian from Black Mass Paranormal on with me, and if you have not seen that channel yet, you've got to check him out. He's from East Tennessee. You guys that know Harley Owens, they're friends and they hang out in some of the same areas and do some pretty cool research. So it's definitely is worth seeing, if nothing else, for the cinematography. Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely wonderful stuff. But he also has some really crazy encounters, and we talk about those. Tomorrow night, I will be on the show with my guest that I have tonight. Yeah, we're going to be flipping roles tomorrow. I will be on Paranormal Among Us with Paul Anthony. Paranormal Paul. Yes. Who is waiting now to come on? And let me tell you, tonight we're going to talk about his experiences with the paranormal, and especially the paranormal in the world of podcasting and how it's changed his world. So, welcome to the stage with me, Paul Anthony.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing? Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You know what? I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Getting the taste of the hurricane. Was it Helen that came up here? It's been raining all day. It's disgusting.
Oh yeah, yeah. It started early
Hmm.
Friday, Thursday morning, Friday morning here.
Yeah, yeah. But it's crazy. But hey, happy
Yeah.
to be here. Happy to be here.
So before we get started, tell our folks a little bit about where they can find you, what you got going on, anything that you want to share with them and pimp out.
Well, I you can find me on YouTube, Paranormal Among Us. You can also find me on iTunes, or I'm sorry, I not iTunes, iPodcasts. Pam, thank you very much for putting the link there. Also on what's the other one? Spotify, I think it is, and I think other podcast places too. But those are just podcasts and stuff. I think iPodcast might be the video podcast as well, but mainly it's on YouTube, live every Saturday night, 7 o'clock Central. I also do a show on Tuesday afternoons at 1 p.m. Central, but that's more of a fun show. And actually, last week I had to cancel it because I had to work. So,
Oh,
but but that, and I've been podcasting all kinds of different stuff for a couple years now. I started in about 2020, I think, doing sports, like general talk and stuff, and just fun stuff. And then I actually, the way I started doing this was I had knee replacement surgery January of 23, and I'm recovering, laying on the bed doing my leg exercises, and I'm reading this book by a guy named T. Krulos. I can't remember what the name of the book was, but I reached out to him, and I never reach out to people like that. And I reached out to him and said, "Hey, this is got a pretty cool book. Um, I'm reading it now, and I'm thinking about doing, because I've always been interested in paranormal stuff, and yeah, so I'm thinking about doing a podcast on this." And then he wrote me back, "Well, why don't you stop thinking about it and just do it?" okay, so already had all the equipment and stuff, and okay, I just kind of made up the channel, and away I went. And I tell you, it's been fun, lots of fun. I meet lots of great people along the way, and learning a lot of things. And I keep making great friends. We got this little group that we all kind of chat with. You, me, Fisher Spam, and Tom, and of course Pam, who is one of the best moderators around,
Definitely,
uh,
definitely.
for everything she does, on the show and behind the scenes. Um, but it's just it's a fun community, and I love being a part of it. And I never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I'd be doing paranormal stuff when I really wanted to do like sports stuff, and that just didn't pan out for me. So thankfully, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It definitely is an area that, yeah, same. I didn't like, honestly, when I started my brand out, I started out on another platform, and this was definitely not what I was doing.
Hmm.
So I feel you there, but it's definitely the place that I belong, I feel like.
And it's weird that you go through wanting to do certain things. I wouldn't say your entire life, but for a good chunk of your life, and it turns out completely different. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's like there's a plan for you, and obviously what I wanted to do before wasn't part of it. So, but I'm happy that I found this. So
Right.
it's fun.
Is that's kind of how I feel about it too. It's like, I started out just like by almost by proxy of doing an interview with
Hmm.
uh, with Tom over on Eye of Jupiter. Uh, Next thing I know, here I am doing my own podcast. So let's talk for a little bit about you and the paranormal. So obviously, this is a thing that was kind of like a second endeavor for you. You're more of a sports kind of guy.
Yeah. Um, it. I had never, and that I know of. Let me say that I know of. I've never seen anything paranormal up until I started doing this, and I never really talked about it. Or I've watched all the TV shows and all that fun stuff, and I've always one of the. I mean, I always thought that man, it would be cool to go on a ghost hunt and stuff, and see this, and how would I react to it, the way these guys are reacting. I don't want to say names because I think they're kind of over the top and everything, but um, so I get into all this, and I meet some people, and I get invited to ghost hunt and stuff, and it's completely different than what I see on TV. Um, I you don't have the, oh my god, look at that, oh my god, did you hear that? And it's, to me, that's just too much. Um, I mean, it's pretty cool hearing sounds that you don't know what they are, and I still haven't really seen anything. But let's see here. So looking back, I think that I have seen some stuff or have had some experiences, and we'll get into some other things about that a little later on. Um, but it's really opened my eyes doing this, talking to all kinds of people, whether it's paranormal stuff, ghost, UFOs, cryptid stuff, whatever. Um, it's really opened my eyes, and I think it's made me kind of open to more of this stuff,
Mhm.
if that's the right thing to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, the that's the thing that kind of when you say open you up to things, it really can do that.
Hmm.
Let me ask you this, as far as types of paranormal subjects, what is your favorite of them?
What is my favorite? Well, I don't know what I don't know if I have a favorite. Um, Ghost hunting is, I think, is a big thrill when you're in the middle of it. Um, I've never gone Bigfoot hunting. I am going to the LBL soon, so that'll be a first for me. Walking through the woods at night, a little nervous about that, but
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, I guess subject wise, this whole time it's either ghost or UFO. Um, and seeing now that I've encountered things, um, had things, happen to me, and have some evidence now that, that's probably right now on this date, September 27th. That's that's my favorite. Yeah, it could change tomorrow. You never know. But yeah, I think ghost hunting is probably my favorite right now.
So let me ask you this, because you mentioned the LBL. That's one of my squirrels. I love the LBL conversation.
Hmm.
Um, First of all, you're going at night. Are you taking people with you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, you don't go alone in these places, and even going ghost hunting. I wouldn't go alone to a place. One, because I'm just so new at this, and two, if something happens where if I'm in a room by myself and I hear something, I know what it is. I just don't have that another person to verify that for me. Um, so I mean, I could tell you things till I'm blue in the face that I saw or have happened to me, and it's up to you, the viewer, to decide. But if a second person is there, yeah, I saw that happen to him too. I heard that knock, I heard that voice or whatever. That's just better. And then going in I mean, it in a haunted house. It, I was going to say you don't have really anything that's going to try and kill you like a Bigfoot or a dogman would. But going into a haunted house, you're not gonna. I mean, you still could get hurt, get scratched or
Right.
whatever. But going out in the woods, I don't like guns. I don't have a gun, but it's probably a good idea to have someone with you that is packing the heat. So I will be the one that's in the middle of the group. Everybody's going to be walking around, whatever. So I'll be hiding behind people with the guns.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So with the ghost hunting, what what's one of the places that you went to that was probably uh, like the big bang for you as far as
Well,
finding evidence?
I've gone to three,
Mm.
and each one has given me something, and it's given me something different each time. Um, the first one I ever went to was Ashmore Estates over in Ashmore, Illinois. And the story with that is it used to be an old farmhouse. I think that's what it's called. Not a farmhouse. I can't think of the name of it now, what it used to be called. But people would go there when they didn't have money and couldn't work. They would go there and stay there and work to pay their living expenses and stuff. I can't remember what it's called. It's going to kill me. But we the whole place is haunted, but you don't get any kind of negative vibes, except in one location, and that was down in the boiler room where there's supposedly a ghost by the name of Joe, I believe, who doesn't like women around. So
Mm.
we're walking around, and at this time I don't have any equipment. I just have me and a camera. I mean, you really don't need much. that's a work farm. Thank you, Pam. See what I mean? Pam's just awesome. She can read our minds. Maybe
Right.
that's not a good thing sometimes, but you know what? Anyway, um, but we poor farm. My wife is watching. My wife is watching. She just texted me. It's a poor farm. So you both are right. Thank you, honey. But anyway, um, we go down to this boiler room, and we've been all over the house, and it's you get kind of crazy feelings, and we have cat balls that go off, and we have what we call a dead bell. These are the cat balls that we have around the room and stuff, and we have a dead bell. And we're asking questions. Ring the bell if you used to live here, and it would go off. Um, touch the cat ball. If you're one of the people that used to live here, and the cat ball would go off. And that was pretty cool. But I wanted to get more evidence than just that. I mean, that could have been a draft or something hitting it, or maybe a malfunction on the dead bell. But we were down in this boiler room, and I'm carrying the dead bell, and it's going off. So I set it down on the steps, and I'm talking, and I'm asking questions and stuff. And if you're here, if you don't like women here, make the thing go off. I don't remember what else I asked, but I didn't hear anything that night. There's another room off the boiler room, and I heard like maybe a rock being thrown or something like that. So I didn't really hear much. Certainly didn't hear any voices and stuff. And when I got back home, I was reviewing the videos that I took, and in the background you could hear there was a bunch of people there, so you could hear other investigators talking and their equipment going off and stuff. And all of a sudden, it's quiet. I went down further into the boiler room, and all of a sudden, I hear "We're watching" in a really creepy voice.
Wow.
That there was somebody with me, but she was behind me. There, you had to go down some steps to get into the boiler room. She was in the other room because this spirit didn't like females, so I told her to stay back there, and I would walk down further. And there was nobody around me that could have made that whisper, and it was a clear whisper. So that was pretty awesome, and I couldn't really debunk that at all. So that, to me, and to a few of the people that I showed this to, that was pretty good evidence. So that was one of the really cool things that came from that. I also have a picture of me with my shadow being cast down a hallway, and then on the left side of the picture, it looks like there's a shadow figure peeking out of
Oh,
the
wow.
of the doorway, which leads into the boiler room. But I'm not 100% sure that that's a shadow figure or not, because there's a plaque on the wall that could have been casting a shadow on that, and it could have been some part of a door shadow, and I'm not quite certain that it's a shadow figure peeking around there. But we still got the voice. We got little pebbles being thrown. Oh yeah, another thing, I was doing a live from there, me and Krista, and so we were kind of set up in a hallway. To our right and up in front of us a little bit was kind of like a little, like a room that we use for like a conference area. We did presentations up there, and then to the left there was another room that there was a piano in, a big room that there was a piano in, and a bunch of chairs. And all of a sudden, like, I think it was in the middle of the live, we both we had somebody on that was walking around the house, and we had a rock being thrown, like a little pebble. We couldn't see it, but we heard it, and there was nobody in front of us.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't do it, and she didn't do it. So, I mean, that was pretty cool. I mean, we didn't get that caught on tape. We heard it, but we didn't have any cameras shooting that way and stuff. But we both heard it, and that's another reason why you need to have a second person with you. That did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. So that's more than likely something got shuffled over in that room. So,
Wow.
but that was neat. That was my first experience, and it's funny that you experience something the first time, and then you want more. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I was hooked on it from walking in, and I've always I've when I was a kid, I was kind of afraid of the dark, and I hated going in my basement when I was a little kid, and I don't have that feeling now, but I mean, even before this, I kind of get the little creeps going downstairs by myself in the house I'm living in now. Um, but I wasn't sure how I would act walking down a pitch black hallway
Mm.
that we know is haunted. But I wasn't scared at all. I mean, I, I wasn't afraid that anything was going to hurt me or anything, or any kind of demonic entity would, attach itself to me or anything. So, I mean, it really kind of shocked me how brave I was walking around there. So, I mean, that was fun. I learned a lot about myself on that trip.
Oh yeah, yeah. One of the things that kind of a truth that I kind of adhere to all the time is I'm not as afraid of the dead as I am the living.
Yeah.
Because there's not like honestly, I've never had anything attack me or anything. I know some people have experienced that kind of thing. But yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it's I mean some of the stuff they do, seeing shadow figures can be a little creepy.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unnerving feeling, the energy, whatever, that they throw out.
Yeah.
But it's not like you know the worst that they're going to do is maybe throw a pebble at you or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess they could attach to you and cause havoc that way, but I mean, they're not gonna. It'll be really hard for them to really hurt you, I guess.
Right, right.
But
Well, the big thing is protection.
hmm hmm and stuff like that. That's different for everybody. I was asking, Krista, what do I take? What do I take for protection? Because I hear sage and all that stuff, and she's like, just take whatever you think is going to protect you from evil. So, I got a cross necklace that I always wear. And whenever I go on investigations, I always take when my dad died, I got his rosary. So I always keep that in my pocket. And, I always say, some prayers before we go into this. And I always ask, mom and dad and grandma and grandpa to, keep an eye on me and protect me and stuff. And I know they would never let anything happen to me. So, that's what I use. And, of course I do have the sage just in case something bad can happen.
If nothing else works, the stage is there.
Yep. Yep.
So you said you've had like three places that you've gone to, and Ashmore was one of them.
That was the
What were the
first
other
one.
two? Hmm.
So the other two were the second one was Ray County Museum in I think it's Richmond, Missouri, up near Kansas City. And the second one was just a couple weeks ago, the Haunted Castle House in Brumley, Missouri, on my T-shirt here. Um, both are fantastic places. Kathy owns Ray County Museum. That is a fabulous place. That it's kind of shaped like a Y. I think it has 2 stories and it's shaped like a Y in a big basement. And there's all kinds of different rooms in there. There's a Civil War room, I think a Desert Storm room, Indian room, kids room, a band room, like a high school band room, all kinds of different themed rooms. Um, and that place is really different. Excuse me. The whole museum, it's pretty old. It used to be a poor farm as well, and the whole museum, when you walk in, you don't get any kind of odd feelings, except when you go upstairs into, yes, I have, Pam. I will get to that in a second. Um, when you get upstairs into one of the wings where like the Civil War room and there's a classroom up there, I think. Civil War room, definitely. The Indian room, and there's a couple other rooms up there. But the second you turn down the hallway, there's a bunch of mannequins on the hallway and in some of the rooms, which were freaky enough to begin with. But the second you turn down that hallway, you instantly feel something different than in the rest of the museum, and it's really weird. Yeah, I mean, you just get that crazy. I don't want to say evil vibe, but you get a different vibe going down there. So we were sitting in, and I have this on camera, so I have proof. We were sitting in the Civil War room, and there's three of us, and we're kind of situated like I would say 6 feet away on each side. And I was kind of standing in front of a display case, and one of the guys to my right, Lauren, he noticed something moving under one of the under the table. So, and I didn't feel anything at the time, and we didn't see anything at the time, but he noticed maybe like a mist or something under there. Um, we had a REM pod going off, so we were getting some communication through there, but I mean, it wasn't really anything incredible. But that room, I was told, has a spirit of a guy who likes, there's like a little cabinet in there, who likes opening and closing the doors. So naturally, when we're walking through there, the first walkthrough, we opened the cabinet door. So I'm standing there and I'm asking questions. If you're here in this, if you're a spirit that lives in this room, can you close this door for me? And we kept getting, I think we kept getting no and get out every now and then on the REM pod. So I'm like, no, I want you to open or close this door. So I guess it had enough and it wanted to show me who was boss of this place. All of a sudden, I felt something brush past my leg, and I looked down and I had 5 scratches going up my leg.
Whoa.
Yeah. I didn't feel it. It didn't burn or anything, and there was 5, not 3. So it our theory was that it was just telling us, "Look, I'm the boss here. This is your warning. Get out." Like, okay, good enough for me. So I got out. So is my connection okay? Because I'm watching it on YouTube on this other monitor. I keep getting chat get disconnected. Please wait. Please wait while we reconnect you. So I mean, if
um,
I mean it looks fine. So
yeah, I'm
that's
not seeing any
okay. I don't know why
issues.
I'm getting disconnected. Hey Moon. Hey Fisher. Um, but anyway, yeah, I had several people looking at it, and it was definitely scratches. 5 scratches going up my leg, up my calf. Um, so that really kind of, I mean, it didn't really freak me out because it didn't hurt, but it just kind of, wow, that was weird, really weird. And I was on camera that whole time. I had a stationary camera behind me, and you could see me kind of walking in front of it, and I didn't scratch it. There was nothing that showed up on there. So
Whoa.
yeah,
Yeah, that's see things like that. That's like really hard. First of all, if you actually caught it on a camera, that's one of those things that's really hard to you can't fake it.
no,
It's just there.
hmm
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, we had, some things going on there at Ray County. Um, in the basement, there's a spirit of a guy down there too that was kind of cool, and I felt, kind of the cool air pass by you, but I didn't see anything. I didn't catch any EVPs or anything um, on camera or anything, but I did get that the leg scratch, and that was pretty that was pretty awesome. I like that. But Yeah. And they say I've heard that it's if it's a three scratches it is more demonic or evil. So I had five, so I'm pretty sure that we were pushing it a little bit, saying when they telling us to leave and us saying no, we want you to close the door. And I think it was just saying, you know what, no, you're gonna do what I say. I'm the boss here. So the fun thing is, I'm going back there in August 26th, do another overnight one. So we'll see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but and this last one, Ashmore Estates. That's not Ashmore. The haunted castle house in Brumley. That was supposedly more darker. Apparently, people have been in there using Ouija boards and um,
Wow.
Lord knows what else they're doing in there. So I was a little worried about going in there. Um, but I still went, and we were going to spend the night there, which we did, and nothing happened. But the whole night we were walking around and talking and stuff. We got a few EVPs, nothing really crazy. We didn't feel much negative energy in the house, which kind of disappointed me. But I mean, the owners stayed with us through the whole night. They said, we can stay with you, or we can stay in our apartment and kind of leave you alone. And I said, no, they were great. They were, uh, I would highly recommend going to the Haunted Castle House down there in Brumley, which is down by Osage Beach in Lake of the Ozarks. But it's an incredible place. There's supposedly a spirit of a boy in one of the bathrooms there. Unfortunately, we didn't see that. There's a doll room there. Excuse me. Um, I agree with that, and I don't like using spirit boards or anything like that. I mean, using um, REM pods and stuff is maybe a little bit similar, but you know, that's another thing. Going into these things, one thing that I learned from watching some of these TV shows is, make sure that you go in with respect and love. You're not trying to rescue anybody. You're not trying to harm anything. You're just here to ask questions and to communicate, not to harm anybody.
Yeah, you're right. You do have to close it out correctly and
Hmm.
remember to thank them. And I try to actually still
Hmm.
the energy. I don't use Ouija boards anymore myself. I have used them before. I would always still it at the end as well and kind of close off that energy so that nothing
Hmm.
comes through. Wow. What is going on here? Okay. Um, yeah. So when you do the like you said that you normally like will take cat balls and stuff like that with you.
Hmm.
Do you when you go what is the dead bell that you're talking about? What exactly is
So when you go to a doctor's office and when you go up to there's that bell that's sitting on there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of those things. But on the bottom of it, it has a sensor that I guess senses when a spirit is nearby or whatever, and they can ring that bell. That's
Oh
what the dead bell
wow.
is. Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. Is it
And it's really kind of almost eerie to you're. I mean, you're in a dark room, really quiet. You ask a question, ding. I mean, it's kind of almost. I don't want to say unsettling, but it's just startling for a second.
At least, at
Yeah.
least, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I ever used a REM pod and it went off, I went, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was very,
Hmm.
very surprised.
And I do have some equipment. I don't have any REM pods or anything, but and I've even had these sitting around my house, and I have one up by my dad's military picture and my father-in-law's military picture. They both are passed, and I had them turned on, and all of a sudden they were going off one time. But I think as much as I would have liked for my dad and my father-in-law to be there visiting, I think it was somehow our dog was barking and it didn't like the, I guess, the tone. It kept, whenever she barked, the thing would go off, which was really weird. So I think that's more of her tone or whatever, her barking, that sets them off instead of anybody moving them. So because
Mm.
when she wasn't barking, they wouldn't really go off.
Oh wow,
So yeah.
that's
So
interesting.
yeah.
I've never had sound activate one before, but
Yeah, I'm not completely convinced about that just yet, but I mean it happens when she's barking, so I'm leaning more that way than it's one of them or somebody joining us. So
wow.
yes. Um if cost was an issue, is there a piece of equipment you would like to investigate with? I don't know. I don't remember the name of it, but it's that it's the camera that picks up stick figure images of SLR, I think maybe it is.
I think
Um,
so. I think so. Yeah.
yeah, SLR camera. Um, that you're shooting in a room and it'll pick up entities or anomalies
Hmm.
and kind of map them out and stuff. A FLIR would be cool too. But that's not what I think it's the SLS. Hang on.
Yeah. I'm
Thank
not.
God for Google.
We just had this with the paranormal rejects. They were talking about getting one of those.
Yeah,
I, I,
it's the SLS camera or XLS,
yeah, yeah.
one of them.
Yeah, that is a really cool camera.
Yeah.
I think the infrared too,
Hmm.
probably one that I would really like to get a hold of.
Yeah. But you really don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment. I mean, yeah, that's good for evidence and stuff and mapping things out.
Mhm.
But I mean, you just use your own body. I mean, you can sense things, you can feel things, temperature changes and stuff. And even when and you can feel when people or when something's watching you or something's around. So I mean, the equipment's nice, but and again, I mean, these cat balls are pretty darn cheap. Um, so I mean, you don't have to have really big fancy equipment to ghost hunt or anything. So
Right, right. Well, and it depends too on what you're wanting to do. Um,
hmm.
if you're trying to collect data and so forth, there's some really neat devices to do that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, you really don't need a lot of equipment. Like I've seen people go all out to ghost hunt and have some like crazy
Hmm.
stuff going on with motion sensor gadgets and all kinds of stuff to light up teddy bears and all that.
And the teddy bears are good for trigger objects. I mean,
Hmm.
have a teddy bear and then put a cat ball around it, or even have a digital recorder around it. And you never know. You could pick somebody could a spirit could come up to it and want to play with it and start chatting with you. I mean, you never know.
Right.
Yeah.
I, the kids seem to like stuff like that. Have a
Hmm.
child's spirit. So that's one of the questions that I've been asking people because that is a very controversial subject in itself. child spirit. Oh, what is your thought on that? Because everybody has a different thought.
You have to be real careful with that, though. I mean, I'm sure there are child spirits that are real spirits of children who have passed on, um, but demonic entities like to masquerade as little kids because we think little kids are trustworthy and everything. So I always kind of, if you, I haven't encountered this, thank God, yet, but I'm of the opinion that, if you come in contact with a little kid, just, be careful. Your guard goes up when you hear that, I think.
Right,
I don't
right,
trust it. I don't trust it.
right. And I noticed in particular, it seems like hag spirits are really fond of trying to pose as children a lot of time.
Mhm. Mhm.
With the types of experiences that you have, how does that how does that affect your like your overall experience with podcasting? Is it obviously is increased a little bit of your awareness?
Mhm. I being able to say that I've experienced it and kind of know what I'm experiencing kind of helps me to relate more to guests that I have. I guess, asking better questions, and just knowing what to expect when they do answer stuff like that. So maybe I could, ask questions in a different way now that I know, kind of what to expect.
Right, right.
So, and you kind of you asked before about um, what has happened since I've started this podcast, and actually, I really do think that since I started this, I've opened myself up to things happening because um, I felt like my dad. I've smelled his cologne go by one time, which was kind of weird. Um, that was weird. It it looked like something got darker right by me. Anyway, um, I was sitting watching football one day last season. I think it might have been playoffs or something, and my wife was in the kitchen behind me, so I'm on the couch. There's the sink is right behind me. There's like a little wall, but you can see the TV. And my wife was at the stove with her back to the TV. So I'm watching football. I have one dog sitting next to me on the couch. The other dog is on another couch on the other side of the room. I don't remember what game it was. Didn't really matter. All of a sudden, I heard someone whisper, "Oh my God." And I turned around and said, "Honey, did you hear that? What did no?" I said, what did you say? Did you say something?" And she's like, "No, I thought you said something."
Wow.
So we both heard, and it came from right up here. And we do
Mm,
have surround sounds in the ceiling, but I didn't have it turned on.
mm.
So there was something up near me to my right that, and if it's a dog, man, I'm gonna make a ton of money off this. But it wasn't a dog.
Right.
Uh, um, I don't know what it was. I didn't. It was nothing. I didn't feel anything weird or anything. But we both heard someone say, "Oh my God." I don't know if it was my dad watching football and he just got excited with whatever team was playing or something, but yeah, something was there saying something. And then this was several years ago. I want to say at least 10 years ago. Um, and honey, if you're watching still, let me know how long ago this was. But we had a Hatman encounter in the house. Um,
Uh,
yeah, but at the time, I didn't know anything about the Hat Man. So I was working overnight one night, so I wasn't even home, and it was late at night. And if you have cats out there, you know the sound of a cat puking. And when you hear that, you're awake, you're jumping up, and you're getting ready. So I love this. She said it's about 2004, 2005. So about oh wow, that long ago. Um, so I was at work. We have a 2-story house. From the main level, it goes up a flight of stairs, a landing, and then goes up another flight to the where our bedrooms are. And she heard the she said, yes, we're old. Um, she she said she was cleaning up the cat puke. So I guess she had her back to the stairwell. She's cleaning it up. She stands up. All of a sudden, she sees this dark figure with a black top hat and a black overcoat coming up the steps, goes up the landing, comes up the steps to our bedroom. And she was kind of frozen. She wasn't really scared, I don't think. She was just like, what is going on here? Who is this? And as it got closer to the top of the stairs, it kind of vanished. So, but it didn't have eyes, the red eyes, like you see on the Hatman pictures and stuff. So, she thought it was an Amish guy because I guess the top hat and the overcoat and stuff. So, for the longest time, we called it the Amish guy, and everything that would happen in the house, if we would lose something, we would always say, "Ah, it's the Amish guy." So, or if electronics would break, oh, it's an Amish guy. Didn't like us being on TV or whatever. So we just played it off as that. Fast forward to last year, I was interviewing somebody and he was telling me about his Hatman encounter. And that look on your face was exactly what I was doing when he was telling me this. Because he was describing it as a shadow figure in his bedroom. And he saw it and it came drifting over to him. And he said he had the black top hat, the black overcoat, couldn't make out any
Oh
facial
wow.
expressions or facial features. And that's exactly what my wife said. And I was dumbfounded. I mean, the look that you just gave, like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, my wife saw something exactly like that. I mean, to the T. So I pulled up a picture of it and I showed him, was this what you saw? And he said, yeah, that's exactly what I saw. I mean, he didn't know what kind of picture I was going to pull up. So I saved the picture on my computer. I think I transferred to my phone or whatever. And later on, after that interview, I showed my wife and I said, is this what you saw walking up our steps? And she said, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So, but from what I've heard, the Hat Man with the red eyes, and I might be wrong with this, I don't know, with the red eyes, that means death is coming or something like that. But he didn't have the red eyes here, thank God. So that was our Hat Man story.
Wow.
Yeah. And it took me getting into this to figure it out. And I think I just saw a shadow on your door.
That's possible. There's always something moving around in
Yeah.
here or
Yeah. But
lots of
yeah,
things.
my dogs are going crazy downstairs. But yeah, it's and I've kind of had feelings. I like I've seen something out of the corner of my eye. I don't know if I do or not, or if it's just my brain playing tricks on me. But I just think that I'm opening up more to the paranormal now, and things are just coming through for me. And I've always had the ability to see. My grandfather was very handy. I'm not. My dad wasn't handy either. And I've always had the ability that if I'm trying to fix something and it's not going right, I always say, Grandpa, help me out here. What do I do next? What's going on here? And all of a sudden, somehow I get the answer. Oh,
Mm.
this is how you do it. And it works. So, I mean, I don't know if that's him communicating with me or if I'm actually figuring it out, but I kind of have a feeling it's him.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Like the more so this is one of the things that people don't don't really think about that the more you engage with things in the paranormal, the more open you become to it and the more active things become around you.
Hmm.
So people who begin to notice things like the movement out of the corner of their eye or whatever, when they as they start focusing on that more and more, they start developing the ability to be actually able to see things more clearly even in front of them and so forth. And some people are able to experience uh, auditory moments where they actually hear things, uh, hear voices, and so forth.
Hmm.
And just kind of like so the rule of thumb is the more attention that you give it, the more attention it kind of seeks in a sense. And so when you begin to experience these things more and more uh, and engage with it, then again you get
Hmm.
more experiences, more engagement back. This is one of the reasons why I tell people that don't really want to have these sorts of experiences to start taking away, and they will start going away. Now, sometimes it does not work, and you have to do cleansing or whatever.
Yeah.
But you are right. The more you engage with this sort of stuff, the more open you become to it.
And luckily, I haven't had any attachments yet that I know of. I mean, certainly I don't feel any different. I was actually a little worried going to the Brumley Castle House, um, but I don't think anything came back with me. So, and actually, that night that we were at in Brumley, um, we were. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was just laying down, and Krista was outside with some other people. They were outside all night, and apparently that's a hotbed for Bigfoot activity out there. So they were kind of Bigfoot hunting out there while we were there. So at about 3:15 or so, I decided, I'm done. I need to lay down for a few hours, and I get a text from her that things are starting to get kind of weird outside. And keep in mind, this is after 3 o'clock in the morning, the witching hour. So I'm laying there looking at my phone. I'm like, I'm really tired, but this is what I came here for. So I think I'm just going to go outside. So I got up, put my shoes on, went back outside. And I'm telling you, we had some amazing activity um, that night. We didn't get it on camera because I mean you couldn't really see anything. So when I got out there, she said that she had just seen a shadow figure like 5 feet in front of her. So like, okay, so I'll stay out here. So they have this motion sensor light in the back of their house that after when you walk through it, light goes on. It eventually went off. So we're sitting there, and the light goes off. Nothing happened while the light was on. The light went off, and all of a sudden, so it was me, Krista, and then I think a guy named Danny. Um, all of a sudden, you feel cold air coming through you, and it was
Mm,
15 to 20 degrees cooler. So like, okay. And there was no wind. I mean, you could look up in the trees and still as can be. So like, okay, somebody's here. So we tried to communicate with it and we didn't get any response or anything, but it still felt really cold. And then it just went away. So then all of a sudden we heard, oh, there was so about, I want to say like 20 yards in front of us, there was an outhouse with a metal roof and walnut trees around it. Further down the yard, maybe 50 or more yards or so, there was a chicken coop with a metal roof, but no walnut trees or anything around it. All of a sudden, I mean, it's quiet out there. All of a sudden, we heard a whap. Something hit metal, and it wasn't close where the outhouse was. It was down further in the yard. So we walked down there, and there was nothing. There was nothing there. So uh, the guy that was with us, he said, I heard him say, "Can you make that happen again?" He said it a couple
Mhm.
times. Started to walk back, and all of a sudden, something hit the side of the chicken coop. It's like something was throwing stuff at us. We didn't hear anything else, but something was throwing stuff at us. Earlier that night, they had tree knocks and stuff, so something was out there playing with us. So we get back up. There's like a seating area. We get back up. The light turns off again, and we get that cold air again.
Mhm.
And then the cold air goes away, and then we start hearing growls around us. So like, I think I want to go inside. And this was about 4 o'clock or whatever in the morning. We never did see anything, but we felt that cold air come through there. That I mean there was no wind, and you getting 15-20 degree cooler air pushing by you. You know, I don't know what that was, but I would think that's a spirit.
Yeah, that sounds like a spirit, definitely,
Yeah.
especially with temperatures dropping like that.
But every time the light went off, you wouldn't feel it. And Krista went live on Blondes and Booze channel. Nothing happened. She hit
Mhm.
end recording, and then we felt it again. So something knew that she was recording, didn't want to be captured, and I didn't have any cameras rolling. We didn't have anything going, so no recording devices going at all. So and again, that's another thing that getting back to the original point, going at this by yourself. No,
Mhm.
this is why you have at least two people with you. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Very interesting about the recording. Like a lot of times, especially certain ones of them, do not like cameras.
Hmm.
They just do not like cameras. They don't want to be recorded. They don't want you to record any evidence whatsoever. Uh, and I always question what exactly that is that's causing that doesn't want to be recorded
Yeah.
myself, because you never know. You really so with that whole experience, when you said that you mentioned that the roof on the building on that was getting whacked
Hmm.
uh, was a metal roof. That's interesting because there one of the questions that we kind of went over last week was uh, on the live there was about the interaction and engagement with metal being something that seems to be a thing for them.
Hmm.
They can things that like are conduit for electricity seems to be easier for them to engage with a lot of times. So I always find that very interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this this particular thing that like if you honestly, I've never seen anything. I've seen some crazy stuff, but I've never seen anything like this. So Tanya last week was saying that she had um, child spirit that was using her. Um, she had a scale, one of the scales that has the two things there,
Hmm.
and it was like literally moving it back and forth to the beat of music,
Oh wow.
and it was like it's solid metal. So that was one of the things that we were talking about when we were talking about the metal was she has a video of this thing just rocking it back and forth to the
Hmm.
beat of the music. So yeah, it's very interesting how they engage and interact with things. Dowsing
Hmm.
rods.
Hmm.
Dowsing rods is another good example of
Hmm.
them using metal objects to move. I've seen them like actually had saw somebody stick a small dowsing rod in a big candle and just watching it move back and forth with them playing with it and whatnot.
Really?
Yeah.
I got, it's weird. I, for my birthday this year, my wife was asking me, what do you want? What do you want for your birthday and stuff? And I always say, nothing. I don't need anything. You know what? This year, I think I want ghost stuff. I want ghost hunting equipment. So I do. I got a couple dowsing rods.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, and a ton of cat balls. So
That's
yeah,
always fun. I
yeah.
always new stuff. Let's do this. Let's go and because we're at the hour mark now. Let's get you to give us a little bit again about your social media and ways to contact you.
Um, it's on Paranormal Among Us on YouTube. I have an email set up. It's paranormalamongus72 at gmail.com. If anybody wants to contact me, I can be reached there. I have a Facebook page. I mean, if you just search Paranormal Among Us, um, you can find it on there. It has what does it have on the thing? It's an alien, a UFO landing. It says Paranormal Among Us. Reach out to me on there. Pam just dropped the email. Um, I'm on LinkedIn, I think, and stuff, but I mainly use Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. And have a blast doing it. So that's where you can find me. And you know what? I'll make this real quick. Pam had a question earlier about the Estes method. Um,
Oh yeah.
and I've had it a couple times. I went under once. I didn't really hear much. For some reason, they don't like talking to me. But my name has come out of it twice. I was doing a friend of mine was doing an investigation. I had him on live on my show. She was doing the Estes method, and I was asking it questions, and it kept telling me to shut up. And I think it called me an idiot one time. So I'm like, okay, this isn't going well. And then when we were at Ashmore, we did the Estes method, and somebody was under, and all of a sudden she sat up and she said, "Paranormal Paul." I'm like, what? and then she said, "You're boring." I'm like, oh God. Yeah, exactly. I get no respect from the spirit world.
Wow.
So that was the last time that I was involved in Estes method. So I'm kind of staying away from that for a while.
Wow.
So yeah. I mean, yeah. So
That is kind of crucial.
I didn't appreciate that too much.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I think the only time I've ever like seen them being really crude uh, was they called a friend of mine a douche one time on the spirit box.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been called an idiot, so
Wow.
and been told to
Yeah.
shut up and boring. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're in October we'll be at the Ray County Museum, and some friends of mine will be at I think the Axe Murder House in Iowa. I'm not sure where that's at. Bliska Axe Murder House, which is close to there, and we're going to try to coordinate doing Estes method at both locations at the same time and see what happens. See if we can get, if we're asking questions in one location, if we get answers in the other location. See what happens. So that's going to be an interesting experiment. So see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and supposedly those two locations are connected. No, I don't know if those two are connected or not, but we're going to see what happens. So it'll be fun.
Now you got me wanting to know how they're connected.
I don't think it's the Ray County and the Villisca X murder house. It's I was thinking of Malvern Manor up in Iowa, and then
Mm,
Villisca X murder house. I think those two might be connected, um, but I don't think Ray County is. But they're close by, I think. So, but we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting.
for
So,
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
And tomorrow night, I have a really cool guest coming on my show. So
Wow, who was that?
I can't give it away, dude. I can't give it. It's a surprise. You guys are gonna have to just show up and see who it is. Oop, that guy right there.
Wow, there was even a cool sound effect with that. Like
Yeah.
Mike Gong.
Yeah, so tomorrow night the tables are gonna be turned and I'll be asking the questions.
Yes, yes, definitely. And
Yes.
tomorrow night we will discuss a little bit about, I think, right, about the thing that happened on.
Something very incredible happened a couple weeks ago, I think, on my show. We'll talk about that later, but it's a really I, it's a really cool story. Krista was talking about something that happened to a friend of hers. I think it was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And we'll bring it up again tomorrow night. But it was really an amazing thing that you did. Really amazing thing that you did, and we're gonna dive into that a little bit. Actually, probably a lot tomorrow night. So
Good deal, good deal.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, definitely.
mhm,
If you will hang out for a moment, I'm going
absolutely.
to drop you out and close out the show, and then I'll be right back with you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right, and there you have it, Paranormal Paul. I gotta tell you, like listening to some of those experiences, uh, really kind of creeped me out a couple of times there with things, especially the scratching thing. I've never had that happen yet, thank God. Um, as Paul said, tomorrow night I will be on his show, so I want you guys to join us over there tomorrow night. It will be uh, an event to definitely look forward to because we're going to be discussing some stuff that I haven't talked about really before on any of the podcasts. So this will be a first. Check it out. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you being here. And just remember to like, share. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. And may your journey always be magical.